look, everybody's trying to figure out within the pharmaceutical sector what they can do and how they can engage with this process. You're not making vaccines. Tell us how you're going to engage. Which companies are you talking to at the moment? What manufacturing capability can you bring to bear?
Yeah, so first of all, we are engaged right now in Israel, as you mentioned, and our engagement is really that we undertake the full logistical operation for the vaccination program in collaboration with the state of Israel, of course. And that means that we pick up the cargo from the cargo plane, take it to our distribution center, secures the freezers, the cool chain, repack products, get them out to the 400 vaccination centers all over Israel, make sure it's the right volume that gets there on the right time, matching the number of people being vaccinated. So a big logistical exercise that we are very proud to be part of, and that's working very, very well. But of course, that's not the only area where we can contribute. We have a big global manufacturing footprint. We probably produce more medicine every day than anybody else in the world, supporting some 200 million patients every day. And of course, we can also do API of vaccines, and we can do finish, fill, and packaging. But we don't do any research in that area. We've never done that. Right now, we're in discussion with some of the originators who have come up with vaccines. We don't have any firm deals with anybody or arrangements with anybody, and I can't really comment on the discussions we have for competitive reasons. But we're more than willing to help where we can. And we would also like to help with distribution in the U.S. We have a distribution company there that serves basically any location in the U.S. So there's some ways we can help on the practical side, you would call it.
So just to be totally clear, you will never be making a vaccine. This is purely for the distribution manufacturing pipeline?
We don't have any plans of going into vaccine research. So if we do a vaccine, it's either as a manufacturer or in combination with a company that actually develops it. So we don't have any research or scientific capabilities within vaccinations.
Just to be a little clearer, do you have the capability of making RNA vaccines, or is this the more traditional vaccine route that we're talking about?
No, we can manufacture API for an RNA vaccine, and we can fill it and pack it and distribute it. So that's something we can do, but we don't have the research to invent an RNA vaccine.
So you were talking about distribution, hopefully bringing that to the U.S., and you're talking to companies. Can you give me an idea of what kind of timeline that might look like?
Well, it all depends on the need in the U.S. because we have a company called ANDA, which is a distribution company. It distributes products everywhere to any pharmacy, distributes, for instance, EpiPen, so that whenever a pharmacy might be short of EpiPen, they can always call ANDA and get it within 24 hours. And that company can also potentially, if somebody wants assistance in vaccine distribution, can also assist in that aspect. But we don't have any current arrangements with the governments or any states.
Let's talk about what you're doing right now. You've been at the company, what, 3 years? You're trying to reform the business. You're trying to figure out where the business goes from here. You have voiced frustration in the past about the slow progress that is being made with some of the legal settlements that you need to pursue, particularly with relation to the opioid crisis. Do you still feel frustrated? Do you still have that feeling? Do you think that the COVID-19, do you think the pandemic may be making things go even slower than you would originally anticipated? I'm just kind of wondering kind of when progress happens here.
Yeah, I wonder the same, you could say, because it really ought to happen, because the framework agreement we have with the states and with the plaintiff lawyers really will benefit U.S. society. It's an agreement where 5 companies have in principle agreed to, 4 of them will pay a lot of cash. We will support the healthcare systems with generic Suboxone, which is a really good product to wean people off of opioids. So I think that it makes only sense to get this agreement into a firm agreement. However, there's a lot of parties involved, 50 states, 1,500 plaintiff lawyers, 5 companies, and even though each settlement will be per company, then without some pressure from a legal proceeding, a court case that moves on, I'm in doubt whether people will actually get to sign on the dotted line. We've had very positive negotiations with the states, with the AGs, and we're really ready to do a settlement. But, you know, we need everybody to come together and get it signed in order to get it implemented. But it would be really nice to get it implemented, and it would benefit the U.S. public.
I'm sure it'd be nice. Do you have any sense from the authorities on the U.S. authorities on when that might happen for the two major cases? Are we talking like a couple months? Are we talking a couple years?
I don't know. I mean, there was a positive sign. Of course, you saw that McKinsey settled with the 50 states. So that's a positive sign. But on the other hand, they didn't settle with the 1,500 plaintiff lawyers, so representing cities and counties and so on. And we would like to see a holistic settlement to the benefit of the U.S. Population and of people suffering from substance abuse. So we would like to settle the whole thing. We think that would be the best way to do it.
Kare, you sound pretty glum about this. You sound pretty frustrated. Are you looking elsewhere?
I think that's good progress.
Okay, sorry.
But I think it is just kind of sad, you could say, that we don't get to the finishing line, because we don't start helping the American public and the people suffering until we get across the finishing line and the money gets spent on improving the situation, and the Suboxone, the generic Suboxone we want to give to all 50 states can be used to help the situation for people.
I guess the frustration may not come in terms of the relation directly to this, but in the relation to the fact that you can't move Teva on while this is happening, and you took the job to move Teva on. Are you thinking about moving on yourself? Because this feels like it could drag on for a while.
No, I'm not feeling any inclination or any thoughts about moving on myself. I'm here to do the job, and I always finish the job I set out to do. So I'll stay until it gets done. And I think I am moving Teva on very, very much, because you have to think about it as we have two legal situations that are very old. They stem back from like 10, 20 years ago. And what we're doing every day in the whole company is, of course, to move on, to upgrade our manufacturing, to launch new fantastic products. We've launched Austedo, Jovi, we launched biosimilars, we launched great new generics. So I think the business is very much moving on, and the organization is very much moving on. We have a clear ESG strategy now we're communicating. We're making great progress on our earnings, on our gross margins. We've reduced debt 10 billion over the last 3 years. We'll continue to reduce debt. So I think on all the operational parameters, we are very much moving on. And then you could say the legal situations, one day they will be over, and that'll be nice. But that doesn't stop us from improving the operations.